Welcome to our Trump Briefing Show. Today, we're diving into some eye-opening stories from across the globe. First up, in Kansas City, the federal government's downsizing has left a trail of chaos, fewer workers, cut programs, and a real impact on public health, food aid, and local businesses. Imagine the stress on families and communities, all caused by these sweeping cuts. Next, we turn to Canada, where the new government is under pressure to act fast. With urgent economic challenges and threats like systemic inertia and authoritarianism, the article urges swift, competent action to modernize and stabilize the nation. It's a call for real change, not just quick fixes, to secure Canada's future. Finally, in the US, Justice Alito criticizes the Supreme Court for rushing to block Trump's deportation efforts, calling the decision unprecedented and hastily granted. This clash highlights ongoing tensions over immigration laws and judicial authority, with serious questions about legal procedures and fairness. Please continue to watch for more detailed insights on these stories. The Toronto Star vividly depicts the devastating consequences of federal budget cuts in Kansas City, a city historically serving as a major hub for U.S. government agencies. Shea Giagnorio, a dedicated public servant with nearly 3 decades of experience, finds herself abruptly unemployed after her office was shuttered due to the latest mass layoffs ordered by the Trump administration. Her personal life has been turned upside down. She's canceling her lease, selling furniture, and contemplating pulling her daughter out of college, all while witnessing the broader community suffer. The cuts ripple through vital sectors. Food assistance programs are diminished, federal grants for health and environmental initiatives are revoked, and even the city's ability to prepare for future pandemics is compromised. The region's economy teeters on the brink, with thousands of federal jobs at risk and local businesses feeling the strain, illustrating how federal austerity measures threaten not just individual livelihoods but the social fabric of a city long intertwined with federal operations. The Toronto Star also highlights the human toll within federal agencies like the IRS, USDA, and health departments, where workers are forced into difficult decisions amid shrinking resources. IRS employees, overwhelmed by overcrowded facilities and looming layoffs, face the agonizing choice of early retirement or buyouts, even as they work overtime during tax season to meet deadlines. Meanwhile, USDA grant cancellations threaten local food initiatives, like a community garden that grew thousands of pounds of produce to combat food deserts, and food banks are forced to distribute less to struggling families. The city's health department, hampered by outdated lab equipment, faces delays in disease detection and vaccination efforts, risking setbacks in public health preparedness. Across these stories, the common thread is a community grappling with the fallout of federal austerity, which undermines essential services and deepens inequalities in Kansas City. Canada's new government faces an urgent call for action, as emphasized by the Toronto Star's analysis of the nation's political landscape. With the parliamentary deadlock since November 2024 leaving critical legislation unpassed, the next administration must act with unprecedented speed and decisiveness to address pressing issues like economic diversification, supply chain modernization, and national resilience. The piece underscores that campaign promises, especially those lacking detailed costings, are insufficient. Real change demands immediate, well-structured implementation, including empowered cabinet ministers and transparent communication about the sacrifices required. The author warns against complacency, emphasizing that the challenges ahead, systemic inertia, vested interests, and geopolitical threats, cannot be overcome with rhetoric alone. Instead, Canada must demonstrate resolve and a sense of urgency, recognizing that the window for meaningful reform is narrow and that swift, substantive action is essential to secure its future amidst global uncertainties. The Deutsche Welle reports vividly depict the ongoing struggles faced by Indigenous Americans, particularly those living on Montana Indian reservations, as they confront the ramifications of Donald Trump's strict immigration policies. Young residents express deep fears of racial profiling and discrimination, feeling increasingly vulnerable to federal agents who seem to target their communities based on ethnicity. Their stories paint a poignant picture of a community under siege, where ancestral lands are seen not just as territory but as sacred homes threatened by policies that threaten to displace them. These personal accounts underscore a broader social issue: the erosion of trust in government institutions and the palpable anxiety among Indigenous peoples who worry about losing their cultural heritage and identity amid a climate of heightened enforcement. Yahoo US offers a compelling account of the political controversy surrounding the unlawful deportation of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, highlighting the intense debate over presidential accountability and legal procedures. Senator Chris Van Hollen criticizes President Trump for attempting to divert attention from the core issue: his administration's blatant disregard for court orders and due process, by focusing on Abrego Garcia's alleged gang ties. The story reveals a stark contrast between the legal rulings, which clearly mandate his return to avoid persecution, and the White House's refusal to comply, despite the Supreme Court's unanimous decision. Van Hollen's visit to El Salvador exposes the broader pattern of the administration flouting judicial authority, with officials attempting to obscure the case's significance by emphasizing unsubstantiated gang links and political posturing. The narrative underscores the tension between upholding the rule of law and the administration's efforts to manipulate public perception for political gain. Deutsche Welle also highlights the devastating impact of the Trump administration's cuts to USAID, revealing how nearly half of the world's humanitarian aid was slashed, leaving millions of vulnerable populations, especially children in Afghanistan, in a perilous state. The withdrawal of aid has led to catastrophic increases in malnutrition among Afghan children, with dire consequences for their health and survival. This reduction in international support signifies not just a policy shift but a humanitarian crisis, as families struggle to access basic necessities amid worsening conditions. The story paints a stark image of how political decisions at home ripple across the globe, leaving the most vulnerable without vital resources, and underscores the moral and ethical implications of such cuts in the face of human suffering. CNN vividly illustrates the enduring legacy of the chicken tax, a tariff imposed in 1963 that still influences the American auto market today. Originally enacted as a retaliatory measure against European chicken tariffs, it inadvertently protected U.S. automakers by blocking cheaper imports of foreign-made pickups, allowing giants like GM, Ford, and Chrysler to dominate and inflate prices. This tax, despite its original purpose fading into history, persists because tariffs tend to become entrenched, shaping market dynamics and consumer choices for decades. Automakers have ingeniously navigated around the tariff through tariff engineering, such as shipping trucks without beds or adding extra seats to reclassify vehicles, and NAFTA further facilitated foreign production in North America, subtly shifting the landscape. As foreign brands pivoted to smaller cars due to tariffs on pickups, the Big Three's market share shrank, illustrating how tariffs can have long-lasting ripple effects, often outlasting political debates and trade agreements, ultimately transforming American auto industry competitiveness and consumer options. The CNN report on Boeing's recent experience vividly captures how Trump's trade war tactics reverberate through the aerospace industry. A Boeing 737 MAX destined for a Chinese airline was forced to return to the U.S. after tariffs skyrocketed to 145%, making the aircraft prohibitively expensive for Chinese buyers. This incident underscores the unpredictable and disruptive nature of escalating tariffs, which can halt or delay aircraft deliveries, leaving airlines and manufacturers in limbo. Boeing, still recovering from previous trade tensions and a grounding crisis, faces new hurdles as the tariff war hampers global supply chains and delivery schedules. The return of the plane signifies not just a logistical setback but a broader industry upheaval, revealing how tariff disputes can undermine decades of international cooperation and cause ripple effects that threaten the stability of global aviation markets. The Toronto Star offers a compelling snapshot of diplomatic nuances as Vice President J.D. Vance visits Pope Francis during Easter amid ongoing tensions over migration policies. Their brief encounter in Vatican City, where the Pope gifted Vance chocolate eggs for his children and exchanged greetings, masks deeper disagreements rooted in their contrasting views on migrant deportation. The Pope, a staunch advocate for migrant dignity, sharply criticized U.S. policies, while Vance, a self-described baby Catholic, defended the Trump administration's stance, reflecting a complex interplay of faith, politics, and diplomacy. Their meeting symbolizes the broader challenge of balancing diplomatic relations with moral and religious convictions, especially as the Vatican navigates its position of neutrality amid the U.S. political landscape. This Easter encounter highlights how religious diplomacy can serve as a subtle arena for ideological clashes, with both leaders emphasizing shared faith yet diverging sharply on critical social issues like migration. The Toronto Star reports that Justice Samuel Alito sharply dissented from the Supreme Court's midnight order blocking the deportation of Venezuelans in Texas, criticizing the decision as rushed and lacking proper explanation. Alito, joined by Justice Clarence Thomas, argued that the court's emergency relief was granted without sufficient factual support, legal justification, or opportunity for the government to respond. He emphasized that the court had not yet established jurisdiction or heard all relevant legal arguments, and highlighted that the order was issued prematurely and without the usual detailed reasoning. The case involved the use of the historic Alien Enemies Act of 1798, which the Trump administration sought to invoke to swiftly deport individuals identified as gang members, a move reminiscent of wartime internments like those of Japanese Americans during World War II. The administration argued that this law empowered rapid removals, but federal judges and the courts in Colorado, New York, and Texas had already issued orders to prevent such deportations until proper procedures were in place. The ACLU, representing the detained Venezuelans, warned that immigration authorities accused some detainees of gang membership to justify removals under this rarely used law. Alito condemned the court's action as unprecedented, premature, and legally questionable, asserting that both the executive and judiciary must adhere to the law and that the midnight order deprived lower courts of the chance to evaluate the case thoroughly. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.
Ancient law, future